At 2:47 this afternoon, the auctioneer at 10X Commercial's New York headquarters brought his gavel down after the final bid for Trump Tower was called 3 times with no higher offer. The winning bid, $412 million. The property, which had been appraised at $530 million before seizure by the IRS, sold for 22% less than its appraised value. The buyer, according to the auction company's immediate announcement, is Silverstein Properties, a New York real estate development firm led by Larry Silverstein. At 3:03 p.m., 16 minutes after the gavel fell, Silverstein Properties held a press conference. Larry Silverstein, standing in front of the iconic Fifth Avenue building, made an announcement that sent shockwaves through New York. Quote, Silverstein Properties has purchased the building formerly known as Trump Tower for $412 million. Effective immediately, this building will be renamed Silverstein Tower. All Trump branding will be removed within 30 days. This is a new chapter for one of Fifth Avenue's most prominent addresses. 3:34 p.m., workers began removing the large gold Trump letters from the building's facade. By 5:00 p.m., the letters were gone. The building that had borne Donald Trump's name for 41 years no longer displays it. Subscribe to this channel immediately, because what I am about to walk you through is not just a real estate transaction. This is the sale of the most iconic symbol of the Trump empire. This is Trump Tower, the building that housed Trump's penthouse, the headquarters of the Trump Organization, and the launchpad for Trump's presidential campaign, now owned by someone else and stripped of its name. And this is the moment the Trump brand in New York real estate officially ends. Here is what happened during the auction that led to this afternoon's sale, because the bidding process reveals how the market valued Trump's most famous property. The auction began at 10 WAM this morning in a conference room at 10X Commercial's Manhattan office. Approximately 200 potential buyers had registered, including real estate developers, investment firms, and foreign buyers. The opening bid was set at the reserve price, $371 million, which represents 70% of the $530 million appraisal. At 10:03 a.m., the first bid came in at $371 million from an anonymous bidder participating by phone. At 10:07 a.m., a second bidder, later revealed to be Silverstein Properties, bid $380 million. For the next 2 hours, bidding proceeded in increments of $5 million to $10 million. By noon, the price had reached $400 million with 4 bidders still active. At 12:34 p.m., one bidder dropped out. At 1:15 p.m., a second bidder dropped out. At 2 p.m., the auction paused for a 30-minute break as the 2 remaining bidders, Silverstein Properties and an investment group from Dubai, consulted with their financial advisors. At 2:30 p.m., bidding resumed. At 2:41 p.m., Silverstein bid $410 million. At 2:44 p.m., the Dubai Group bid $411 million. At 2:47 p.m., Silverstein bid $412 million. The auctioneer called for a higher bid 3 times. The Dubai Group did not respond. At 2:47 p.m., the gavel fell. Sold. Hit that like button right now if you understand what just happened. Trump Tower, the building Donald Trump bought in 1983 and turned into a symbol of his wealth and power, sold for $412 million. It is no longer Trump Tower. The Trump name is gone. The algorithm decides what breaks through. You decide whether this analysis reaches people who need to see it. Because what I am showing you is the erasure of Trump's most visible legacy in New York. At 3:47 p.m., details of the sale began emerging. The $412 million purchase price will be transferred to the U.S. Treasury as partial payment toward Trump's $3.8 billion tax debt. After the sale, Trump's remaining debt to the IRS is $3,288 billion. The IRS has 46 more properties to auction. Silverstein Properties announced that it will take possession of the building on February 1st. All existing tenants, including retail stores on the lower floors and residential tenants in the upper floors, will remain under their current leases, but the building management will transfer to Silverstein. Trump's penthouse, which occupied the top 3 floors of the building, was not included in the sale as a separate unit because it was part of the building's overall structure. Silverstein now owns the penthouse, which has been vacant since Trump moved to the White House in 2017 and has remained empty since. Drop a comment right now. Tell me if you think $412 million is a fair price for Trump Tower, or if the buyer got a bargain. I am reading every response because real estate experts are divided. At 4:15 p.m., real estate analysts began weighing in. Jonathan Miller, a New York appraiser, stated, quote, Trump Tower sold for 22% below its appraised value. That is a significant discount, but the Trump brand has become toxic in New York. Buyers factored in the cost of rebranding and the risk of protests or boycotts. At $412 million, Silverstein got a good deal on a prime Fifth Avenue property. Barbara Corcoran stated on Cable News, quote, the location is worth more than the building. Fifth Avenue and 56th Street is one of the most valuable addresses in the world. Silverstein will rebrand it, upgrade it, and in 5 years it will be worth $600 million. This was a smart buy. Mark Cuban posted, quote, Trump Tower sold for 78% of its appraised value. That shows the Trump name actually hurt the sale price. If this building had no association with Trump, it would have sold for the full $530 million or more. Share this video right now because what I'm about to explain is what happens to the building now and what Silverstein plans to do with it. At 4:47 p.m., Silverstein Properties released a detailed plan for the building's transformation. Phase 1. Immediate rebranding. All Trump signage, including the gold letters on the facade, the Trump name in the lobby, and Trump branding in the elevators, will be removed within 30 days. New signage reading Silverstein Tower will be installed. Phase 2. Lobby renovation. The Trump Tower lobby, known for its pink marble and gold fixtures, will be redesigned with a modern aesthetic. The renovation will cost an estimated $15 million and will be completed by June. Phase 3. Retail leasing. Several retail tenants have left Trump Tower in recent years due to protests and boycotts. Silverstein will offer competitive lease terms to attract new high-end retailers. Phase 4. Residential upgrades. The residential units in the tower will be upgraded with new amenities, including a fitness center, a lounge, and improved security. Silverstein plans to increase the building's value to $600 million within 5 years through these improvements. At 5:34 p.m., Trump from the Federal Correctional Institution in Terre Haute issued a statement through his attorneys. Quote, Trump Tower was sold for a fraction of its true value. That building is worth $1 billion, not $412 million. The IRS forced a fire sale and did not allow enough time for the market to respond. Silverstein got the deal of the century, and now they are erasing my name from a building I built with my own hands. A building that has been a New York landmark for over 40 years. This is not just a business transaction. This is the deliberate destruction of my legacy. This is a disgrace and an insult to everyone who has ever worked in that building or called it home. At 6:00 p.m., Larry Silverstein responded to Trump's statement in a televised interview on CNBC. Quote, I paid $412 million, which was the winning bid in a fair and competitive auction. There were 200 registered bidders. The market determined the price, not the IRS, and not me. As for the Trump name, we are a business. The Trump brand is no longer an asset in New York real estate. It is a liability. Multiple tenants have told us privately that they will renew their leases now that the Trump name is being removed, whereas they were considering leaving before. Removing the name is not personal. It is a business decision based on market reality. At 6:34 p.m., reactions from New Yorkers began pouring in on social media. Some celebrated the removal of the Trump name, posting photos of the building without the gold letters and comments like "about time," "finally," and "good riddance to a symbol of greed." Others criticized Silverstein, calling the name removal petty, disrespectful, and erasing history whether you like Trump or not. Protests and counter-protests began forming outside the building by 7:00 p.m., with approximately 300 people gathering, roughly evenly split between those celebrating and those opposing the name change. At 7:30 p.m., tenants of Trump Tower began speaking to reporters. One residential tenant who has lived in the building since 1995 stated, quote, "I am relieved the Trump name is gone. For the past 8 years, living here has been controversial. Friends stopped visiting because they didn't want to be associated with the building. Now it can just be a normal luxury building again." Another tenant, a retail store owner on the ground floor, stated, quote, "The Trump name brought protesters which hurt my business. I am hoping the Silverstein name brings stability." A third tenant who identified as a Trump supporter stated, quote, "I bought my apartment because it was Trump Tower. Removing the name without asking residents is wrong. I feel like my home has been stolen." Here is what we are watching for over the next 30 days as the building transitions from Trump Tower to Silverstein Tower. 6 indicators that will tell us how the transformation proceeds and whether the new branding succeeds. Indicator 1. How quickly is the signage removed and replaced? Silverstein said 30 days. If it happens faster, it signals urgency to distance from the Trump brand. If it takes longer, it suggests complications. Indicator 2. Do any tenants leave after the sale? If businesses or residents decide to vacate because they preferred the Trump branding, it will hurt the building's occupancy and value. Indicator 3. Does Silverstein attract new retail tenants? High-end retailers abandoned Trump Tower in recent years. If Silverstein can sign new leases, it validates the rebranding strategy. Indicator 4. What is public reaction to the name change? If protests continue, it suggests the building remains controversial regardless of ownership. If protests stop, it suggests the issue was Trump, not the building. Indicator 5. Does the building's value increase after the renovations? Silverstein claims it will be worth $600 million in 5 years. If appraisals support that, the purchase was a success. Indicator 6. Does Trump take any legal action? Trump has threatened to challenge the IRS seizures. If he sues over the sale price, it could delay the transfer or create complications. Here are 3 scenarios for how this plays out. Scenario 1. The rebranding succeeds and the building thrives. Silverstein removes all Trump branding within 30 days. The lobby renovation is completed by June. New retail tenants sign leases. The building's reputation improves. Protests stop. Within 5 years, the building is appraised at $600 million or more. Silverstein's investment pays off. The building, formerly known as Trump Tower, becomes a premier Fifth Avenue address with no association to Trump. This is the successful rebranding scenario. Scenario 2. The building struggles despite the rebranding. Silverstein removes the Trump name, but the building's association with Trump persists. Some tenants leave. New retail tenants are hard to attract. Protests continue. The building's value does not increase as projected. Silverstein's investment underperforms. The building remains controversial and less desirable than comparable Fifth Avenue properties. This is the struggling transition scenario. Scenario 3. Trump successfully challenges the sale in court. Trump's attorneys file a lawsuit arguing the $412 million sale price was below market value and that the IRS should have rejected the bid and re-auctioned the property. A judge agrees and orders the sale reversed. Silverstein has refunded his $412 million. The building goes back to the IRS. A second auction is held. This is the legal reversal scenario. It is unlikely given that the auction was conducted properly and the price was above the reserve. But Trump's legal team has indicated they will explore all options. Subscribe right now, like this video. Comment with your prediction. Which scenario happens? I am tracking all three. And as the Trump name comes down and the Silverstein name goes up, you will see the updates here. Let me show you why Trump Tower is more than just a building and why its sale represents the end of an era. Trump Tower was completed in 1983 at a cost of $300 million, which was a massive investment at the time. It is a 58-story mixed-use building with retail on the lower floors, offices in the middle, and luxury condominiums on the upper floors. Trump purchased the land in 1979 during a period when Fifth Avenue was struggling economically. Many buildings in the area were vacant or underperforming. Trump envisioned a luxury building that would revitalize the neighborhood. The building's success in the 1980s made Trump a household name, not just in New York, but nationally. It was featured prominently in his 1987 book, The Art of the Deal, as an example of his business acumen and negotiating skills. The building became a symbol. If you succeeded in New York real estate, you could succeed anywhere. Trump lived in the building's three-floor penthouse from 1983 until he moved to the White House in 2017. The penthouse, decorated in gold and marble, was featured in magazines and became synonymous with Trump's personal brand of luxury. The Trump Organization's headquarters was located on the 26th floor, making the building the operational center of Trump's business empire. And on June 16, 2015, Trump descended the building's gold escalator to the atrium and announced his candidacy for president, launching the campaign that would lead to his election. For 4 decades, Trump Tower was not just a building. It was the physical embodiment of the Trump brand, the symbol of his success, and the headquarters of his empire. And now, in one afternoon, after a 4-hour and 47-minute auction, it is gone. Sold to a competitor, renamed, rebranded, stripped of the name that defined it. What I know for certain right now, at 2:47 p.m. today, Trump Tower was sold at auction for $412 million after 4 hours and 47 minutes of bidding. The buyer is Silverstein Properties, led by Larry Silverstein. At 3:03 p.m., Silverstein announced the building will be renamed Silverstein Tower and all Trump branding, removed within 30 days. At 3:34 p.m., workers began removing the gold Trump letters. By 5 p.m., the letters were gone. The $412 million price is 22% below the $530 million appraisal. Proceeds go to the U.S. Treasury toward Trump's $3.8 billion tax debt. After this sale, $388 billion remains. Silverstein plans $15 million in renovations and projects, $600 million value in 5 years. Trump, serving 57 years in prison, calls it a disgrace and claims the building is worth $1 billion. Experts say Silverstein got a good deal, and the Trump brand had become a liability. New Yorkers are divided. Tenants have mixed reactions, and 46 remaining Trump properties will be auctioned in coming months. Stay with this channel. Turn on notifications as rebranding proceeds, as new tenants move in, as value is reassessed. You will see analysis here. This is Trump Tower sold for $412 million. This is the Trump name erased from the building that bore it for 41 years. And this is the end of an era in New York real estate.